Although I am not a descendant of Nazi Holocaust survivors, I was asked by the authors of this letter, who could not be here today, to read it on their behalf. Our families survived the Nazi Holocaust. They were massacred, starved, tortured, and buried in mass graves, while governments profited and lied, just as the U.S. administration is doing right now by actively participating in the Israeli genocide of Palestinians. Biden's statement today on International Holocaust Remembrance Day is hypocritical and empty. You cannot honor our Jewish ancestors while you actively enable genocide against the Palestinian people. The suffering of our European Jewish ancestors is not exceptional. The majority of genocides committed by the U.S. and Europe against Black and Indigenous people around the world are largely unacknowledged and ongoing. As Jewish descendants of Holocaust survivors, we stand in solidarity with all people who have endured genocide. This includes the ongoing genocide of over 12 million Indigenous people on land stolen by the U.S., the genocide of 20 million African people murdered in the transatlantic slave trade, and the ongoing genocide against Black Americans, the Rwandan genocide, the Bosnian genocide, the Cambodian genocide, the Armenian genocide, and all other genocides throughout history. We rise up together all over the globe for a free Palestine because our own history of persecution compels us to stand in solidarity with all people facing oppression. In the name of our Jewish ancestors and our sacred tradition of tzedek, justice, we call for U.S. reparations to Black and Indigenous people in our own country, an end to the Israeli occupation of Palestine, and the right to return for all Palestinians. As descendants of Nazi Holocaust survivors, we reaffirm that never again means never again for anyone, and never again is now.
Today, on International Holocaust Remembrance Day, you will hear Zionist institutions use the memory of the Nazi Holocaust to justify not only the existence of the settler state of Israel, but the ongoing brutality, ethnic cleansing, and genocide of the Palestinian people. You will hear these entities claim that the Nazi Holocaust was unprecedented, unique, and exceptional. Unfortunately, the horrors Nazi Germany committed against the Jewish people of Europe are far from exceptional. Before the Nazi Holocaust in Europe, Germany perfected their tools of its attempted extermination on the Herero and Nama peoples of Namibia. In 1904, the indigenous Herero and Nama people resisted slave labor and the theft of their lands. The Second Reich responded by ordering their mass murder through battle, forced starvation, medical experimentation, sexual violence, and concentration camps. These tactics have been utilized repeatedly throughout history to commit countless crimes. To this day, the Herero and Nama peoples are still fighting for reparations from Germany and their settlers. This same history is repeated all over the globe, wherever European colonial powers choose to plunder. Rwanda, Armenia, Bosnia, Turtle Island, North America, and so many more. Throughout all of this, we see companies like IBM rise as titans of a genocidal industry. They participate in these conflicts because, simply put, it is profitable. From providing the technology required to automate the Nazi Holocaust, to providing Israel with the infrastructure to systematically document and control every Palestinian, IBM is a partner in genocide. On this day, in front of one of the most genocidal companies in history, we reaffirm that what is happening in occupied Palestine is a genocide. The demands of the Palestinian youth movement must be met. The siege on Gaza must be lifted, the occupation ended, the right of return for every Palestinian protected, and every single Palestinian political prisoner released. Western complicity in Zionism must end now. Until Zionism itself and its capitalist interests are dismantled in nations around the world, Palestine will not truly be free. Boycott IBM, and Free Palestine. Today, I join fellow anti-Zionist Jews on International Holocaust Remembrance Day to condemn the ongoing genocide and occupation of Palestine committed by the State of Israel. I stand here in front of IBM to draw attention to this company's historic and ongoing role in providing technology in service of genocide. Prior to and during the Nazi Holocaust, IBM provided punch cards and card sorting machines to systematically identify Jewish people for asset confiscation, ghettoization, deportation, and extermination. More than 2,000 card sorting machines were utilized throughout Nazi Germany, including at every major concentration camp. Since its direct participation in the Nazi Holocaust, IBM has continued to provide its technologies in service of genocide. Today, IBM is a facilitator of surveillance and so-called security in occupied Palestine. Since 2019, IBM has worked with Israel's Population, Immigration, and Borders Authority to store the personal information of Palestinians living under Israeli occupation. The subsidiaries of IBM in Israel collaborate extensively with the Israeli occupation forces, providing military units with edge computing and software-based storage data centers. Since 1975, the Israel Police has also partnered with IBM for computer and software equipment to surveil and control the lives of Palestinians. This IBM technology enables Israel Police to restrict the movement of Palestinians in their own homeland and maintain a brutal system of apartheid. Within this oppressive system, Palestinians, including those with Israeli citizenship, are routinely forced to provide biometric data to Israeli authorities in order to access necessities and to exercise their basic rights. IBM's partnerships with Israel thus serve to normalize the surveillance and control of Palestinians while supporting Israeli supremacy. Like those who join me here today, I am appalled by IBM's legacy of contributing to and profiting from genocide, including that of Ashkenazi Jews during the Nazi Holocaust and now in the ongoing genocide and occupation of Palestine. I stand in solidarity with all Palestinians and people of conscience who oppose genocide and the use of technology to support it. I also join the voices here to call for an immediate boycott of IBM until it meaningfully reckons with its role in perpetuating genocide around the world, which includes, first and foremost, cutting ties with the genocidal state of Israel. To IBM, I ask, why offer your technologies to perpetuate genocide when you could instead offer your technologies in service of education and medicine? Are the profits you make from genocide more precious than Palestinian life? End your complicity and participation in genocide. Refuse to offer technology for racist surveillance and mass murder. Cut ties with the genocidal state of Israel now. This International Holocaust Remembrance Day, join me and Jews everywhere in asserting that never again means never again for anyone, and never again is now. Free Palestine, end the genocide in Gaza. Our collective liberation depends on it.
I stand here with Jewish Voice for Peace on Holocaust Remembrance Day to voice my deepest solidarity and love for the Palestinian people and to say we must do everything in our power to stop this brutal genocide, because never again means never again for anyone. As you may know by now, we chose this particular location outside of IBM's offices in Texas because IBM automates and profits from genocide. This was true when it was the technological backbone of the Nazi Holocaust, and it's true now in Palestine. IBM is truly an essential tech provider for almost every aspect of the occupation of Palestine and the ongoing bombardment of Gaza. From the computing power to the software that runs their surveillance tools, to the sole operator of Israel's Population, Immigration, and Borders Authority Population Registry database. IBM's population registry database is a key element used by the Israeli military to monitor all movement, work, and daily life of Palestinians. The registry includes data on all Palestinians, including those with Israeli citizenship, occupied East Jerusalem non-citizen residents, and all Palestinians in the West Bank and Gaza. Through this registry, the Israeli authorities handle the permits for Palestinian workers who work within Israel and in Israeli settlements, as well as other permits needed for life-saving medical treatment, family visits, and travel. Basic human rights that have been denied to Palestinians under apartheid and occupation for 75 years. IBM also operates and manages what's called the ATON system, a sophisticated surveillance system that documents all of the comings and goings under Israeli control, including Allenby Bridge crossing, which was the only access for West Bank Palestinian residents to travel abroad, as well as Erez checkpoint, which was the only crossing between Palestinian people between Gaza, Israel, and the West Bank. Not only that, in 2021, IBM was contracted to provide services for remote biometric identification as part of this system. Furthermore, since 2020, IBM has been contracted by the Israeli Ministry of Defense and the Israeli Occupation Forces to be the main IT provider for 3 brand new military regional logistics centers. These centers provide all of the military's logistical needs, collaborating with AI tools and other corporations to further automate the bombing of civilians and their homes, flattening Gaza to the ground. These logistics centers, operated and managed by IBM in combination with a registry database of every single Palestinian, have no doubt been the very tools used in the carpet bombing of Gaza in an algorithmically predetermined way in order to maximize destruction and casualties, as well as to carry out highly targeted attacks on doctors, journalists, and their families. The list of their involvement goes on, but the point is, IBM has had a hand in some of the world's most horrific holocausts, colonial exploits, and genocides since its inception. It has truly been the backbone, helping fascist and colonial regimes automate their killings, profiting in the billions. We say enough. We say this technology should not be permitted, and it certainly should not be developed right under our noses in Austin. Why is it that our tax dollars can fund this genocidal technology? Not only that, Texas is one of more than 24 states with laws that seek to limit our ability to even boycott or divest from corporations that profit from this genocide. If I have not convinced you already that we need to do everything in our power to stop the development and export of automated weapons and surveillance technology, let me share with you a few quotes directly from Israeli officials explaining what exactly this technology is being used for. These quotes have been cited in South Africa's International Court of Justice report. The first is by David Azulai, head of Israeli Regional Council in Metula. He said, "After October 7th, instead of urging people to go south, we should direct them to the beaches. The Navy can transport them to the shores of Lebanon, where there are already sufficient refugee camps. Then a security strip should be established from the sea to the Gaza border fence, completely empty as a reminder of what was once there. It should resemble the Auschwitz concentration camp." The next quote is by Ariel Kalner, an Israeli parliament member. He said, "Right now we have one goal, Nakba, a Nakba that will overshadow the Nakba of 48, Nakba in Gaza and Nakba to anyone who dares to join." The next quote is by Merav Ben-Ari, also an Israeli parliament member, who said, "The children in Gaza have brought this upon themselves." I will pause for a moment to really let that sink in. This is what IBM is supporting. This is what all of our military aid from the U.S. is supporting. This is what we are allowing here in Texas by letting business continue as usual. So my call is to the public. We must do everything we can to boycott, divest, and sanction these horrific corporations that are committing such horrific atrocities. And I also say to the press, locally and nationally, stop silencing the voices of Palestinians. stop being too afraid to report about the ongoing genocide and limiting the full picture, the full depth of the atrocities being committed. We remember the way our ancestors were ignored while the world sat and watched the genocide unfold. No one can claim ignorance this time. No one can claim ignorance this time. We all see what is happening. It is being live streamed to us daily, and over 100 journalists have been targeted and murdered in Gaza for their brave efforts to show the world what is happening. So do your jobs as journalists in America and report about the atrocities. Report that over 11,000 children have been martyred. Report that Israeli occupation forces have bombed every single university in Gaza. Every single one. If you reported about Israeli hostages, did you also report about the 10,000 Palestinian hostages held captive in Israeli military prisons with no charges and no trial, many of them children? You probably didn't. When you report about October 7th, did you also report about the 75 years of brutal colonial occupation, displacement, and siege Palestinians have been experiencing? You probably didn't. This is not honest reporting. In fact, it is complicit in enabling these atrocities to continue. So when you report on this genocide, remember, it is not a conflict or the Israeli-Hamas war. It is an occupation, and it is a genocide. Austin-based companies with Austin tax money and Austin workers are producing this technology for genocide. Tell this story. Tell the story of IBM. Don't wait for the people to correct your ahistorical language 20 years from now. It will be too late. Free Palestine. Thank you.